tears start rolling on me at that time, with looking at what I'm intending to do at this point. I'm crying and all kinds of things like that. Was me crying after a very long time. You would be surprised that all these things were happening. I wasn't crying for most of it. So I'm letting it out, man. But I won't lie. At that time it wasn't for me at the beginning of it, because it subsided, right? It didn't happen the whole entire year. It happened for a section of time, and then they closed. They said people should study at home and all kinds of things like this. Then it killed the momentum of that whole thing. So at the time it was happening, it was more of I'm in a revolution more than I understand why we have to do this. After a certain while, we have to cut it and go back to our academics and all that. No, man, I felt like I was, what is that Cuban revolutionary guy? Castro. Felt like I was Fidel Castro right now. We are bringing change, So it played right into what is called the messianic state of young people, because young people have this thing of I can change the world. It's a good thing. And that went right straight into it, because that thing actually, the Fismas 4 didn't only become Fismas 4. It went to, we are decolonizing, we are, all kinds of things like this. So at the time, when it morphed into that thing, now it was less of school. Now it was more of we are liberating Africa, let's say. We are decolonizing. Now we are revolutionaries. We are, we are the next generation of Abu Steve Biko, Abu Robo Subuko. We are that now, So I'm equipping myself with all literature that has to do with Pan-Africanism and all that. Man, I went deep. You see those conspiracies that I went deep in when I was in Cape Town? Now, change of events, now it's Africanism or Pan-Africanism, let's say. Man, I'm drawing about Malcolm X, I'm having about Marcus Garvey, I'm having about Khalid Mohammed. Man, I'm bringing everyone. I'm bringing the big Dr. Joseph Ben-Yakanin. I'm drawing everybody. Like African history, we are doing this thing, And, and by the way, by this time I'm doing this, I'm already an atheist. You see, I had a process of when I dropped out of Cape Town, the concept of having to believe. Like I couldn't merge the idea that I will be God's child and not be attended in the way that I failed. So my faith took a very big crack, and being a person who's rational in a sense, I knocked religion off the grid. So these ideas, it's easy for me to grasp into them now, because now without religion, then Pan-Africanism is telling me, when you're colonized, your colonizers, they brought this religion and they forced it on your ancestors and all that. Oh my God, I knew it. At this point.
Hey man.
At this point, I'm going, man. I'm going into this, man. I'm having the pictures of Abu Malcolm X, Abu Khalid Mohammed on my walls in black and white. I have quotes. I have, I'm teaching, I'm preaching. I have arguments. This other time I remember, there's a guy called Makubo. He was having an argument with a friend of mine who became my best friend, but at that time it was at the beginning of our friendship. Kananero Hadmakas. We had a conversation from the whole night up until 4 a.m. 4 a.m. it was then that we opened the doors. We were like, hey, man, good night. We're going to sleep now. 4 a.m. Only conversation. No alcohol, no parties, nothing. Just conversation the whole time. So I was really into this. Yes.
Wait, brother. Just before you proceed, I want to attend this comments from TJ Lamini. I want to read these comments very fast, and then I'll come to other comments later on. Um,
Mhm.
it says the first one, you are a savior like Hlatshwayo, proud of you, King. And then continue to say, I consider myself lucky and blessed to have met and known both, uh, and known you both, Kananelo Radimakatso and Lucky Hlatshwayo, forever grateful. And man, you asking if this session will be available later on. Yes, it will be available, man. You can access it here, and I think months later it will be on YouTube. I think a month later it will be on YouTube. And thank you for watching, brother, man. And we can continue like you having these conversations with this person. What are these conversations about? Is it about Africa, where we come from? And yeah, tell me.
It's intertwined. It started first as religious, you see. So with that, me, I have already grasped and grind down the arguments of an atheist side, you know. So Kananelo was at the beginning of him being atheistic in a sense. So he's having this conversation with Makuba. Makuba is religious himself, you see. So they are having a big conflict. It even came this close for them to fight. You know. So they are
Yeah,
in each other's faces like yeah. So I joined the conversation. We go in and so now what I incorporate into the religious and the atheist conversation is the history of Africa as well. Because then it makes sense that you will talk about it from that perspective that okay, when it was forced on you. So if something was forced on you, it must not be right for you, you know? So we are talking about all of this. We are talking about both African history in a sense and religion, the belief itself. So we went back and forth up until the morning. So, but there's as I said before, as it was the case that in the previous downfall of conspiracies and everything, I learned certain things from there. There are certain good things that came out of that experience. Even this one, there were certain experiences that came good out of it. One was pride, you know, pride of being African and being confident. You walk on the street, you're like, you know what, I'm equal to anyone. Like this, there is no wara wara. Actually, at that time, sometimes it was overconfidence, more on the side of arrogance and looking down on white people as if they don't belong here. Like, you know, you and your ancestors must leave. Just like Dr. Khalid Muhammad said, we should give you 5 hours to leave, or we will do this and that, all kinds of things like this. So there was confidence that came out of that, and being eloquent and being able to debate fluently, let's say. So there are certain things that there are certain aspects about that, and also being able to do your own research and actually do reading for the purpose of knowing, you know. So those are the things that I took from that experience. I say I took from that experience because I'm not a socialistic person like that as anymore, or a Pan-African like that, or something like this. So at the time I'm being a comrade, my academics plummeted at this time because now at the beginning of the year already I had financial problems and all that, and my social life was booming. I couldn't do the balancing between social life and academics and all the things that all facets that has to be attended to when you are in an environment like university. So my character at that time, it was very susceptible to things that are more leaned to socialistic behavior. We can change the world, we will make the world what, all kinds of things like this. But at this point, I can definitely say I started now having my own self. Like I started having not true self, but I started having a personality, you know, like like recognizable, like okay, I am this person. So and then I get then another thing that was fire at that time is forex. I don't know if you know, back then became blue, you know. So I get introduced to this thing by Kanane Lokadimakas because at this time our friendship was getting very tight and tight, you know. We were struggling together, you know. This financial situation that I was talking about, me and him, we were staying in Colores, both of us, right? So second semester, I think. That's when we started becoming close friends. And my roommate was Chabo Stearman, left. Then Kananalo moved into the same room as me because we were having sharing rooms. And man, were we not struggling? Jesus. You know, we would, and we tend to get very emotional when we talk about the story because it's so, you know, it's, we used to, for a better part of 2 3 months, I think, or four, man, or the whole semester or something like this. It was really bad. We would eat bread and juice and rama sometimes. So we would buy not the Albanese or Sascos. You see those loaves that you have to cut them yourselves. We would go to Mimosa straight to, so that we buy the fresh ones, cheaper ones. And the juice, we're doing those ones that way you have to do it yourself, like Oros, but then not Oros. It was a more, there was a more cheaper one that has the same size as Iceland, but then it's more cheaper
Is
brands because it was
it,
a new brand.
was it Fusion?
No, it wasn't Fusion. There was a more cheaper one than that. I think it was 7 rand or something like this.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so when people go there to check us to do groceries and all kinds of things like that, even us, we go do groceries. But groceries of two things. Probably 8 loaves, 8 loaves of bread and that juice and 1 can of Rama, that one. So that will be something that we so during the day,
Yeah.
what we will do is that loaf, we will half it. He will have his half, and I'll have my half. But that half is for the whole day. You eat half of the half, meaning a quarter in the morning and a quarter in the evening, shared with
And
juice. That's our lives.
brother man, what's funny? Just to
Mm-mm.
leave this behind. What's funny is that just before we get at this level of tertiary or maybe university, you can say, we are told that university is such a marvelous space. Such a marvelous community there. You live nice when you're there. And when you're a university student, the ones that are actually staying at home, not actually working, going to school or something like that, they envy your life as a student. So what I like about the the conversation that you're actually leading right now is that you get to expose the things that happen, and these things, they happen to most of us as students, because I
Mm.
remember I had a very young sister, new and fresh in the University of the Free State, and she came to me when she was about to drop
Mm.
out, and she was like, man, I took it from people like you. Why didn't you tell me that university is nice, but there's this part of it? We're never informed about
Ah.
this part of it. It's nice, but it has its own struggle. So I'm super fascinated by you leading this conversation, because these are the things that we must unpack for the ones that are coming to this space of universities. Because as Asvaye,
Mm.
is the company or the movement under entrepreneurship, we go to school sometimes, talk to matriculants, talk to grade 11s, alluding them to these interviews,
Mm.
that go and watch this interview, go and watch this interview. And we sometimes tell them the clickster and errors that take place in the university. So man, I just wanted to leave that behind. You can continue. I just remember some of the stories would say, I even remember the times where we had bought a grocery, and it's on the 15th, middle of the month, and we just left with cornflakes and sugar and cooking oil. The food that doesn't add up in concoction of them. You can't cook them, you can't mix them together. So we end up there. So I mean, I'm so like, I appreciate the conversation. the conversation.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, man, for that comment. Actually, because I was leading in the direction of character, but also it comes with all of this experience. You know, so we have that, and then we are trying this forex thing. And it was also one thing that was taking our money. That thing, because we would like get 300 Nyana from home, or asking some other parties that were willing to help at that time. I like, you know what? If I can take like 250 and put it in, then you're calculating there. After a week, if I get $7 a day, then that means I will be what, and then boom account. Then you get stressed. You feel your feet get very cold. So we have this experience with my friend, and that is a wonderful experience for our friendship, because we have something that we can talk about, that we have struggled and we know, both of us. But by the time we were experiencing it, it was very rough. It was very rough. So at this time, I'm a very ambitious person. Like, the level of ambition that is toxic, because that can go too far as well. More special, because it can go too far in a sense of you don't moderate your capacity at the point that you are at. Like a person who just, have you ever been at Kasi in a corner somewhere? These guys, they didn't finish matric, they didn't do anything, they're smoking, they're standing there at the corner, they are your friends, maybe from childhood or something like this. Life is not going so well for them. And then you're standing there at the corner, and then they're telling you about, next year, man, I want to start a tracking company or something like this. Very unrealistic, ambitious, but misled. Like it is a toxic ambition, that one. Like it doesn't work like that. You can get there, but then you don't start that way. Yeah, you don't move from a corner to winning a track in a single year. That doesn't work like that. So I had that level of ambition, and the reason why I had that is it was fueled by that comrade life, because that comrade life, it gave you the perception that you can be a revolutionarist. So I had that messianic complex. I can save the world. I'm the shit, pretty much. So I try forex here and there. I pay no mind to my school anymore. Because when I failed my first semester, the modules, they have this thing. If you sell certain modules in the first semester, you can't do certain modules in second semester or something like this. So I failed the major one in first semester. So second semester I was doing like 3 modules, and out of 9 modules I was supposed to do. So it was a clear fail of the year, and I was losing the bursary that I was having. So I was trying to compensate for that through forex. Hey, let me try forex. So they're running in parallel. 2 biggest trends now: being a socialist and having these ideas of saving Mother Africa, even new names that you never knew about what Africa is called, about Al-Kabila and about Azania and all kinds of things like this. And on the other hand, you are pushing this financial, it's a very risky thing to get into. Forex. It works, but it's risky. People have to know that I'm doing investment banking now. I understand this thing to the T. Not in the sense of I know how to trade, but to understand the risk embedded in it. So I'm doing these 2 things that gives no, they have no stability in a sense. The fact that you will be a known politician, revolutionary who's going to change the world is less likely. And the fact that you will be a very successful forex trader within a year, some couple of months, less likely. But I'm there. I don't see these things. I'm like, yeah, we are doing this. My belief that I'm gonna be successful in these things is very solid, very grounded, and it's happening. And then 2016 happens. I fail, bad, trouble, in a very bad way. Then I go to the 2017 begins. Now academic stress begins. Then I have to go consult with the deans and all kinds of things like that. The dean was like, man, you didn't, even if we wanted to put you in the extended program, your points are too low for that. It can't happen, So even though I was a comrade by that time, I'm not a fully fledged comrade who knows every corner of this university. I'm still from first year anyway. So I'm frustrated. I'm alone. I tend to withdraw from people when I'm frustrated like that, you know. So I'm there trying to do these things on my own. You know, I don't know about SRC. I don't consult SRC. I don't care. I go there on the background. I try to go do education. You know, education is there. Like, well, go to Calihuman. Try to get those people to clear your debt or something like this. At that time, you were paying for internet. I had a 7,000 debt. You see, there was no way of paying that thing. There was no way of writing it off. So without putting even a fight, man, I just withdrew from it. You know, I was like, I will go do Forex. You know, I'll be rich in Forex in a year's time. I'll show them some Ferraris, some Bugattis, some good life. Oh no, I drop out 2017 again.
Lucky
2017, I drop
man.
out.
Eh,
I know, man. I know, man. I
eh,
know. I
eh.
know.
Your
So
story, man. Your story. There's something about your story. You know, I've been getting chills when you open up. You know, uh, your story is so realistic, man. And I think it's, I think this is just a recorded book of how to be a student, or maybe what it means to be a student. What it means to be a student.
I I think more on the part of how to be, how to persevere as a young adult, let's say, because this is these things that I'll be talking about. I document some of them in the book I told you that I want it to be published this year, the first principles. I use some of this example as an example of why certain things are important for you to attend to, you know, like character, for an example, is a very important thing to attend to character itself. I will come to that as well. I'm looking at the time as well because I have to be gone by 6 o'clock. But let me
Yeah,
just
we have
run through it.
and as well on our side. I think we have something like 24 minutes right now, or yeah, I think we left with something like
Okay.
24 minutes, if not 22.
Okay, so let me rush these years. So
Yeah.
2017 and 2018, I'm at home, right? I'm at home struggling with this Forex thing. 2017, whole of it, I was going to my high school trying to trade it, and there was a teacher that was also trading, was also trying this whole thing. So we are trying to figure it out, both of us, and I'm doing all that, and it keeps me busy, you know. At least there is something I am doing when I'm home. No, though not productive, but in my head, as I said before, people who are having problems, they don't want to face them. The best way to do it is to always keep your mind in a run, so that when you, but if you were to give it quietness, it will run back to those problems. So my mind is on a run almost all the time because of this. You know, I go to school, is it quite a distance Nyana from home. So I'm away from my grandfather to look at his disappointed face all this time. So I have a free time at school to able to do that, you know. 2018, I have the same thing for the first 6 months. And actually, at this time, that was when I started tutoring students, but not for money, because when I was doing this tutoring, this Forex thing, I was using the same office as that teacher, you see. So at one point, I went to the, he was not there. I went to what's this now? The deputy principal's office. So he allowed me as well because he knows me from back. So he allowed me to use his computer in that. So at the time, at the beginning of the year, there were parents who came into that office. I was there in the computer in the corner, and he was speaking to the parents. So the parents were complaining about their children not performing well, but they don't want their kids to change. Actually, they no, their children couldn't change from maths to maths lead. They were there to try to change them from maths to maths lead, but the rest uh, principal was like, it's not possible at this point because now they're in matric. They are registered as maths students and all kinds of things like this. So I jumped in with seeing the disparity that was. I was like, I'm good in maths. You know, I can tutor them after class. So I said, give me those level 1s and level 2 students. I'll tutor them in the library. So they did. and those students eventually improved their marks. Even today, I still have some of their contacts and all that. They, after that year when they got their level fours and all kinds of things like that, and got to university and all that, they posted me, thank you very much, all kinds of things like that. Something that I actually live for, those kind of things, those kind of moments, when you can play a positive role in someone's life. Because I've had so many people, like, I couldn't be here if there were no people like that who were caring but they were not they were people who were not caring about individuals for that purpose and that purpose only, not because they wanted to earn anything from it, not because they were looking for something in the future, nothing like this. People who really just were caring about people for that purpose of just caring for people. And for me, those kind of things, they actually feed my soul. Like, whenever someone has me on their status, or someone is like you did this other time, thinking and all kinds of things like that, in as small as I can contribute, for me, it's a big deal. Like, it's a big deal in a sense of, at least I did that positive. Then I move. They give me. I find a job there at the post office at town there in Guagu.
It's
I
been a
stay
roller
in
coaster, man.
it very, man. So
Yeah.
it's not a fully fledged job. Even this one, you see, it's one of those cheap jobs, like the piece job, equal to piece job, pretty much. You see. So I stay somewhere. I stay at this person. He had a real estate. You see, he's in government. He had real estate and had that business. Those were one of his startup businesses. So I'm there. That business is not doing too well because of the concentration of the competition of that sort of business in the post office itself. So now, instead of eating loaves of bread and juice, now I'm eating pap and eggs, because there are 30 eggs, 30 days, it's all good. So we eat
Ah,
that. That's it. Yes. So now, actually, it worked good because I started knowing that protein was good for my own skin, like my skin working properly. Because when I ate that, I became very clean. Like, as I say, all these experiences, they bring something positive out of them. I'm not trying to be an optimist and not recognize the bad that was with it. But what else can we do, man? Like, what else can we do? It is a bad experience. It's there and we're living. We have to enjoy it, and nothing. If we're gonna dwell on the negative side of it, it's not gonna do us any good. So we might as well just take the good that we can from it. So yeah, that time I'm staying
let
for
me
6 months.
let,
I
let,
stayed there.
let me run this comment very fast, brother man. Let me just run this comment very fast. It comes from Kananelo Radimakato. I consider myself lucky to know you, man. No pun intended. A very brave and honest friend. Keep it up, brother. We can continue. That's from Kananelo Radimakato.
Yeah, that's the guy I've been referring to right now. That's a best friend of mine, that one.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for watching,
I
man.
I then have that right there, that experience. I'm living alone now. You see, now I'm starting to get a grips of total independence from parents, because now I'm living alone. They are there, but then I don't want anything from them. That's why I was eating eggs and all kinds of things like that. I'll call them in circumstances that were very, very dire. But other than that, I was like, I'm gonna suffer it through. I'll come off on the other side. I took it as initiation. That's what I feel like initiation in African terms is supposed to be. It's supposed to get you through adversity, so you know that, hey, no one is here to get your back. You will be helped, but then don't depend on that. That is, you don't. No one owes you help. That was actually one of the things that started cracking the thinking of I'm a savior and all kinds of things like that. That was the beginning of cracking that, because that ideology, it has a tendency of making African people feel like they're owed something. Maybe we'll have a conversation again about that sort of ideology when we break down how I ended up not being that. So at this point, I'm starting to get my own sort of character. I learned from people like Harvey Specter. Is a fictional character from Suits, but then I start learning certain character traits from him: confidence, assertiveness, all kinds of things like that, being brave, honest, and all that. And in that time, I started learning, coming across someone called Dr. Jordan Peterson. Anyone who wants to get their life in order, I would highly recommend his books and his lecture series from YouTube. His name is Dr. Jordan Peterson. Completely changed my life from that perspective. He then made me understand, because he's a psychologist, you see, then made me understand what I was going through. Like, it's as if I was talking to him, you know. He broke everything down, literally everything. From the point of view of being an adult, young adult, from the point of view of being socialistic, he broke those walls, all of them, and he imparted something very essential on all of that. You know, at first I didn't get it, but then as time went, I started getting it. It's not only him. There are multiple people like Joseph Campbell. Then there is Sadhguru, which is more famous in more spiritual people. There are many individuals like that put the increments into building my character. You see, that is when I built a canvas of morality and ethics. That is when I started becoming my own person. Now, the person that I am now, that was the beginning, genesis of it. Obviously, it's filled with confusion and ups and downs and certain characteristics from the past and all that. But then it was then that I was starting to understand how essential it is to actually start first by building your character before anything else. If you have money and your character is messed up, you're going to end up being like Abu Blessers and other people who are using people or are corrupt. If you have star power, you're going to go sideways because of that. You'll end up killing yourself or something like this. When you have a solid base, it gives you the platform where you can say, whatever would happen to me, I will still come through. You know, that's where character is. Character is not only a part of you have to be considerate to other people. It's a matter of also serving you what is necessary for your own survival. Because when your mental state is gone, and the thing about the thing about your thoughts is they're grounded in what you believe to be the truth about the world. And people who have fuzzy and silly characters, what they base their beliefs on is very, you know, their moral platform it has cracks and holes. So when you build your character, you are forced to deal with questions of morality and ethics. And those are the things that will eventually lead you to be considerate to other people. Let's say, attend to people in a manner that is encouraging, let's say. More especially if this is the first time you meet a person. I can understand when you are hostile to a foe who was hostile to you. I can understand that. But people generally, you have to be a good company. You have to be a resourceful person. You have to be a person people won't feel some type of way to be around. People will feel empowered, and also people will feel they have someone they can go to when shit hits the fan, you know. And there is no weak character or fuzzy characters who would be able to give you a shoulder to cry on and actually give you a boost or a lift up for you to stand on your own ground or stand and go in this life. So it's necessary for that. And it's an overarching axiom. Is an overarching axiom in a sense of anything that works beyond the umbrella of a proper character and ethics, it usually is destructive. And not only destructive to the world, but destructive to you as a person. All those years that I was struggling, I was not only struggling on the part of finances. Finances was like, I used this example with my friend Sohami. I was like, your personality has to be the bridge. And water will always come, floods will always come, and pressure will always be there. It will always, no one in this planet doesn't have something pressurizing them, something bothering them, and all kinds of things like that. So if the bridge itself is weak, the problems will flush it over anytime, any day. So weak characters, when they come against adversities, they fall. That's why I fell so frequently. Because I could have put a fight, more especially in 2016, 2017, I could have put a fight and I could have won. Earlier than that, I could have also persevered in asking for help, but I didn't have the courage to ask for help. It takes courage to ask for help. in as much as people would like to dismiss it, for you to be able to be vulnerable enough to say, look, man, I got nothing. Your curve, help. Can you please help if you can? And if that person rejects you, to walk away with a good heart, because people don't owe you help. Just as I said before, people don't owe you help. If they can help, they would. If they don't want to, even if they can't, even if they don't want to, you shouldn't be walking away with a bitter heart looking at them some type of way. So you have to put yourself in a proper character, because it will give you a solid frame of interpretation of the world, and you won't have to fall into so much dance and fall and never come up. So from 2018, I was like, you know what, definitely failed in this forex thing and all kinds of things like this. Let me just take the route of school and just finish it. So that guy who I was working under. He sent me to UKZN to do pharmacy because he wanted me and him to have a company after I finish it. But I got to UKZN, the space was filled, so I come back. Actually, I didn't know what to do. After that, I was frustrated. I was stranded. I was like, I don't know now what I'm gonna do. So, but then UF's already admitted me for philosophy and politics and investment banking. This one that I'm doing now. But I didn't have funding. I didn't know what to do. So I called my friend Ganza. I was like, "Hey man, man, bad situation. You know, we talked in length about that, and then I get NASFAS. I tell him, hey man, if I come now, I have NASFAS, right? But I don't know, I don't have a place to stay. He was the prime of Colores by that time. That place I was in 2016 when I was the first year, he was a prime now, a vice prime of there. And Makubo was a prime of that. So both of them were my friends now. Okay, so there was sneaking in I could do. So it was like, come by, we'll make a plan. I really appreciate the fact that you are watching, Cananello. Thank you very much, man. Done very great things for me. That. So I go and sleep in his room. You got, man, we will even oscillate to sleep on his bed, you know, kinds of things like this. And I get there, they reverse my NASFAS, I lose my NASFAS. You know, now I don't have funding for 2019. So, but then now I'm putting a fight. I'm putting a dog fight. You know, I'm there with so and so was the president by that time. We're trying this and that and all kinds of things like this. You know, I attend class still, even if I don't have anything. I attend class as if I'm still having something. You know.
Now you're fighting because your character was, congested with what was necessary for you to be able to fight.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes. Those years that I dropped out, I came very face to face to reality now with a matured mind, let's say. And I understood that if I mess this up, I'm out for good. So when I went back, I understood that the fight that I would be putting in here is way better than the fight I would be able to put out there. So I'm fighting here. But then, man, things didn't turn out well. You know, everything rejected me. Now I was owing the university 12,000. That 7,000 I left 2017 compounded to 12,000, and it was taken to the lawyers. You see, so now it's a big mess. So as the semester goes, at the beginning I was there, vibrant and all that, but as the semester went, man, my light just, now things are getting much dimmer at the point in 2019. This actually by June, now I was staying with Soso. Soso was also one of the people that actually helped me a lot. And you know, because Colores was not hospitable to me anymore, because I was also a political person. So I am a person who expresses how I feel, what I think, and all kinds of things like that. So I instantly became a person who's recognizable there. It became a problem to other people because they didn't like the way I was thinking. You know, people who were starting their journey into the socialistic kind of way, I was warning them that, hey, listen, that what you're thinking is bullshit. It's nonsense, and you're going in the wrong direction. But they didn't like it because the tendency, even me, when I was in their position, I was looking at people who were thinking otherwise. I was like, you are a sellout, you are a coconut, you all kinds of things like that, you know. So even them, they were giving me that hard time, and they wanted me out the day. So when the new raise head came into play, they wanted me out, and they wanted me out quick. So I had to leave. So I left and I went to Soso's place, a very hospitable man. He helped me a lot. You know, he would even leave his room to go to his girlfriend's room so that I sleep on the bed sometime, you know. But things were not good. Like, it was tough. It was hard, man. It was emotionally draining. And every day you have to wake up and try to go to class, you know. And you have to interact with people and all kinds of things like that. People who don't know you try to interact with you and invite you to parties and all kinds of things like that. Hey, it was eating at a person. It was actually at this point that I actually thought and was actually intending to kill myself, right? Because I it was so dim that I could not see tomorrow. Like, by that I mean I couldn't see why I
You
should
had a point where you wanted to just to kill yourself.
commit suicide. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, they had this match to Kwakwa, right? The Sosos um, group of SRCs. So he was not there. I was all alone in the room. You see, and it got so overwhelming to me. I was sitting. I can remember everything about that time. You know, it's like my 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 brain was capturing this for the last time, so that when it goes off, you know, because every detail in that I can remember everything. I can remember the direction I was facing and all kinds of things like this. So I was having 200. I don't remember where I was having that 200, because I had my other uncle was working somewhere in Sasol as well, doing some yana job. So he would send me like 200 sometimes, like 600 sometimes. You know, he was very helpful that year, because there was really no one who was giving me some finance to do something, you know. So I was having 200 probably from him as well at that time, but I'm not pretty sure where it was coming from. So I'm looking at 200, this 200, I'm like, you know, if I use this 200 for food, let's say, this food is going to run out probably in a week's time, at most. But there's an alternative. I can go buy sleeping pills with this 200 and I am done. You know, at this point, I was really meaning what I was saying. You know, it was at night. Man, tears start rolling on me at that time. With looking at what I'm intending to do at this point, you know, I'm crying and all kinds of things like that. Was me crying after a very long time. You would be surprised that all these things were happening. I wasn't crying for most of it. So I'm letting it out, man. I'm crying thereby. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm now battling, do it, don't do it, do it, do it. Like, what's the point, man? You know, you finish it, no troubles anymore. You don't have to fight no fight like this anymore. You're done. Like, there's nothing to do other than that. What are you gonna do if, you know?
Like,
I know,
wait.
man. Mm,
Let me catch the moment. Let me catch again the moment, because there was like a lot of confusion at at that time when you were explaining what brought you here. Let me
mm,
recap on the moment, because I agree you've had these like terrible experiences, all these tragedies, but you never got to this ultimate firing point. So let me get
mm,
the moment that brought you here again. I know you've mentioned it, it's just that I missed it, man.
mm. The point was, I'm saying this brought me. I got here because, you know, I tried all alternatives pretty much. Tried to find a job, let's say 2015. I dropped out 2017. Tried this new way, financial way of this forex way. I tried to find a job without without a degree, 2018, and all kinds of things. The job was shitty. And then I was coming back to university. I had NASFAS. It was reversed. So to me, it was more of a conclusion, in a sense of, there is nothing that can be done, because I put a good fight at the beginning. Those couple of months up until June, I think it was June 22nd, when I was contemplating that suicide. But prior to that, I put a good fight, man, the whole entire time. You know, wake up, go. You know, your SRC each and every day. You know, Go to, I even have emails of people high up there in New York, because I was putting a good fight with everything I could, you know. But man, when that hit, the fact that there's not, because this is June and I have not registered. There's no way that this year is going my way. Impossible. First semester is done. So I'm like, yeah, this is, and I don't see how I can come to pay 12,000. Impossible, you know. So I'm looking at this, I'm like, yeah, I'm done, man. I am really done. Like, I couldn't, the promise of a better future, let alone years, I couldn't see it. A month, I couldn't see. Like, even a week, I couldn't see how any day from today, from this hour, is gonna be any good for me. And at the time, I was doing research actually about suicide, you see, and I was having the very same thought process as them. I went to Kananelo at the other time. I think in that span of time, before I then came to that come to that point of crying and all that, we had a discussion about this. I was telling him that, hey man, I think I'm done. I think I want to vibe. You know, he's a very emotional person. He's a very emotional person, my friend. Usually, I don't like telling him certain things because he suffers with me. He's a very empathetic person. You see, so I do not like seeing other people suffer because of my own doing. You see, so I'm telling this thing. This one I'm required to tell him, because should I not wake up tomorrow, should I be dead, that means I would have not said anything to anyone. You see, so I'm telling him all this is a very emotionally tense. It was a hell of a conversation. I'll tell you that much. You see. He tries to rewind, like, man, you know, there's still some fight we can put up. What? Hey, man, I for one couldn't see what he was talking about. Nothing like this, you know. So fine, I go back. I have that crying session. At this point, man, I'm having so many things running into my mind. It's heavy,
Breaking
like
out.
it's hey, man, it's heavy. So I'm sitting there in a chair, just looking at the window and just crying. And I'm having this 200 in my hand, yeah. Like, I'm intending to go buy these things. And then I got hit by an idea. Why not just see what happens with your life? Right? You don't want it anymore. So if you walk in the street and you get hit by a car, so be it. If you get stabbed by someone, yeah, so be it. If you fall in a ditch and die, okay, submit your life into that thing, in a sense of become two-parted. This person who doesn't want this life anymore, just observing what happens with a carcass that is walking, in a sense, like a walking dead, let's say, right?
Ah,
So I'm like, fine, I'll go about it that way. I'm a dead man, in a sense. My brother, after that, I became a very different person, I would say, to some degree. Like, there is a certain level of boost that comes into you with no fear of death anymore. And I started working on
interesting.
campus with, yes, I started working on campus the first day after that, the following, it was at night, right? The following day, I work on campus. Now I don't have a sense of, what can I say? Shame, let's say, right? Something like that. I work with my buttons and my I have this black jersey that's also gave it to me. It usually is on this chair. So it opens up in the middle right here. I walk on campus with nothing in it, with just it and opening it up. You know, I walk there like a free person. I'm walking bare feet, whatever I'm doing, don't care. I'm just doing whatever I want to do.
It's not
You want to say something?
you, it's not you against the world anymore, but it's you in the
Mm-hmm.
world. I see, man.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm just there, you know. I'm like, I want to see what's going to happen. So now I start doing whatever I want to do. I want that girl, I go to that girl. I do want to do this, I do that thing. You know, it was loose, but also it was the one thing I kept on, it was the fact that I don't want to break people. I'm not out to get blood. I'm not having, I don't hate the world in a sense. I just am defeated in a sense, you know, and I just want to see what's happening. So it goes on, and I met a girl called Dawn. You see, she became my girlfriend at the time, and Natasha, who was a friend of Kananelo and became my friend as well. Now we are like family actually, and they were very helpful people. So as well, I had a friend as well, Bokang. He's one of the best friends that I have. He was one person that I actually can talk to as if nothing was happening to me. You see how I am now. I will talk to him as if there were no problems in my life. You know, he was a person we can joke off. You know, can throw whatever. He was a person I could go to and pretend that there were no problems, and actually the conversation just goes as it goes. So yeah, and we're having other. I had many people, man. Even Tembingosi himself, the one who just thanked me at the beginning, very helpful person in my life at that point, man. It was when he had food, Yana, he would cook and call me by. We'd eat together. Very vibrant person, that one. And I had a community now, right? I had a community that were helping me get by. Let's say an awful lot of people that I don't think I'll finish the list right now if I didn't mention you. And I'm very thankful to everyone. I truly am very thankful. They know I'm here whenever they need my showing up. So now Dawn's mother, Dawn raised, because I also had another breakdown, I think, in front of her. You know, when I was explaining, I was now crying about these bad experiences in a sense of, man, it's hard enough to grow up without a mother and a father. Then you don't have finances. Then you don't know anything. Then there's no one supporting your education. It's no one understands you and all kinds of things like that. So I'm breaking down in front of her. Even her, she cries with me, all that kind of things like that. And then immediately the following day, she calls her mother to see if she can order help. Actually, her mother came through, and I'm very thankful to um, Miss Mavunda. So she helped me without even knowing me, man. You know, other people, if your girlfriend calls home and says, "Hey, I have a guy friend," the father, the mother, they want to shoot your head. That's what it is. Like, honor my daughter. You can't be doing that. But this one actually just took me in, more of a son actually, and she helped me. She cleared my debt, and we found a way to find a bursary. They found a way to help me find the bursary that I actually have now, right now. It was at that point, it was very close to my birthday, actually. It was at that point I had an infliction, you know, a change to be the person I am now completely. I am now who I became then, you know, with obviously modifying here and there to become better and better each and every time. But it was at that point I wrote a paper called Lead a Life of Honesty and Courage. The first person to read that was Canelo, I think, or Don. I don't remember between the two. But Canelo left a note after reading it that was very affirmative. That paper also changed me. Like, it added into the motion of change. It was a push, let's say, to be like, you know what? Let's give this world a big show, in a sense. In as much as we are watching what will happen to us, let's try to sway it. Instead of just being in the world, let's sway it in the direction that is positive. Is there anything positive that we can do? Do it as honest as possible. Be courageous about it. You know, if you want to do something, go full force at that thing. You fear it, do it still. Like, why not? You are a dead man. You are watching what's going to happen to you. Do it. If it finishes you, it finished you. But do it though, nonetheless. You know, so it was at that point that I changed. This is the end of November. That paper I wrote November 16th. The whole year I didn't go home. I wrote that November 16th. The next morning, it was the 17th, I went home for the first time in that year. Everything was resolved. We were waiting just for the following year, and we're starting our career afresh. And The 18th was my birthday in November. Then I got this calls, and I'm home. I'm relaxing. I thank everyone who then played a good part on that. I tell my grandfather about the whole situation in the honest possible way, that the whole year it was a waste because of this and that and all that and all that. And I tell him all the parties that were involved to help me. We actually call them, and some of them call us. I give him the phone. He was in tears, man. Like I have never seen my grandfather like cry. He was in tears. Then the following year, we started on a high note, and that was 2020. 2020 was a blessed year. That's when I started writing that book that I did, right? And it was a very blessed year, and I won't lie to you. And then 2021 was an extension of 2020 in a sense. I hope 2022 treats all of us with grace.
Amen. Your story, brother man. Your story. And as you talking, I didn't ask much of I didn't ask like a lot of questions. And right now I'm thinking in my mind that we have to go back because there are things that I have to ask into details. But
Mm,
this is the good news of it. Man, I'm gonna send you the invite of the second part of this interview. You said to me you have a life that so many hopes are actually depending on your life, so many people
mm,
hoping because of your existence. And now I understand why you said that. You didn't become a victim of all things, man, because you know I learn a lot from meeting new people and traveling. And I'll tell you one of the things that are said by people who have lost their parents, or maybe who never had a chance to who never had a chance to spend some time with their parents. They change tremendously and becoming like bad people, hating certain beliefs, thinking they are victims of the circumstances. And you just became a warrior and fight nevertheless, and that's so much inspiring of you, man. And I think the role of this I think the role of this platform has been played. We wanted people like you. Right now, where I'm standing, I'm thanking God that I met you and you came to deliver what you're saying right now. But just to top up on what I'm saying, this is what Angela Mazibuko got to say. Thank you for sharing your story. Not many of us know this about you, and it takes a lot of courage, and thank for that. I think everyone can definitely learn from your life experiences and get motivation. I think that's the image that we see as people listening to you and watching you. And I will just talk to my team to arrange for the second episode of this interview, because there's a lot, man. I want us to talk about forex. I want
mm,
because right now it was just like you opening the book of the things that you have to go through, and a little bit of the things that you had to do to come out, and to come
mhm,
out. I think that's the most important interview. How did you come out
mhm,
from point to point? Because you came out, man. You've got a charisma. You leading through a charismatic the way of leading. And I mean, it's such a fascinating story that I've got to do in the beginning of the year, man.
Okay. Thank you very much for hosting me, man. Now, I also have to attend to other things. I'll definitely appreciate the second interview of this, because I also feel like we can actually delve deep more, because this felt more bibliographical, and I would really appreciate if we can go into the principles themselves. Like, say, why is it important to be an honest person? If we can delve deep into matters that are political as well. We can delve deep into matters that are financial as well. We can go in many directions, and I'm looking forward to that other one. And thank you very much, man.
Yeah, brother man, I'm gonna ask you two last questions. This one is just for, it's just for students at the university.
Mm-hmm.
I had my last guest was Tiamo. Tiamo said things that were really moving right here about students. I want
Mm-hmm.
I want you to give an advice to a student who is currently gonna do their first year, who so I'm sorry about that, man. A student is gonna attend for the first time at the university. You know the things that might possibly come in their way. Would you please give these students an advice and like guidance, just in few words?
First, okay. First and foremost, I would say you. It's better. Like my teacher, my Afrikaans teacher used to say, forewarned is forearmed. You know, when you are told prior to a thing, you are the same as a person who has weapons for that thing. So first of all, prime yourself to understand that you're gonna face adversities. Like it's not gonna be the same as when you are within the confines of your own parents. You're gonna be challenged particularly in three areas. The level of academic work, it's going to be much higher. It's going to dial a little bit more, right? So attend to that as soon as possible. That is the lifeline of you being at university. No matter what happens, no matter what problems you have, make sure that that is in line. Do not betray that for anything. Social life is going to be very nice. Do not betray your academic life for that. You know, even when you are facing financial problems or anything like this, do not cry and whim in your room and not go attend the lectures that you need to or go write tests that you need to. Show up and do the best that you can in that particular way. Even if you do fail because say you don't have the equipment or all kinds of things like that, you're not going to regret it because you did the best that you could. So it's academic life. Then your social life, you're going to have a very buzz in social life. If you didn't have it before, you're about to have a big challenge in a sense of if you're a guy, girls will be plenty and they'll be all over your face and they will require a lot. And you're going to have a lot of different influences. Smoking weed, you're going to have freedom to smoke weed, to drink alcohol, to attend events, clubs, all kinds of things like this, house parties, and all sorts of things like this. That is a good thing to attend to. Do not discard it as if it won't play a role. It does play a role. It's necessary for you to go through it so that you can prepare yourself for the outside world, because the outside world will require you to work and attend to social life. So attend to that with attention, right? Then fourthly, you're going to face financial problems. So this one pretty much in large, if you came to university, there's a promise to some extent that you actually have some sort of support financially, some sort. It could be troublesome, but try to interact with SRCs, try to interact with primes, try to interact with your tutors and all kinds of things like this. They know better, they can help you. Try to interact with those people and try to find if any university doesn't have any feeding schemes or all kinds of things like that, because if you can put something in your belly, then you can function. So, and then also try to find anything that you can do on the side: waiter, tutor, all sorts of works that are smaller. You like yourself, you are a cameraman, you can source that as well, all kinds of things like this. So those three key areas has to be attended to, but you can attend to them more better if you attend them with honesty. Be honest of your own ignorance. You passed well. We are not discussing that that is an indication of something productive and good about you. But now you're gonna face a different league. You are in a new environment. You are ignorant. Acknowledge that and be honest about your ignorance to people who know better. Do not try to shy away from asking for help, because you go need it. And suffer with honor in your suffering, because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen that you're gonna suffer. Suffer in honor, in a sense of do not try to now put everything on a certain idea. It's not white people's problems that you are facing financial problems. It's not man's problems that you are facing problems. It's not your friend's problems and all kinds of things like this. Try to have your stand in a sense of, okay, I'm suffering as everyone would in order for them to grow, and do everything in your might to be able to stand in that rough patch that you'll be experiencing. But in large part, if you can attend to those three things that I said, in all likelihood, your university experience is going to be flawless and very nice. You see. So, and also try to learn other things apart from education as well, like building your own character. You're gonna need that. Your character, there's no one who comes from matric is already Dalai Lama level of stability in character. You're gonna need a lot of learning in that direction, and you're gonna need that for your own sanity as a person. Because in class, in order for you to pick up your hand amongst 5,000 people, it needs courage. And you're not going to have courage if you don't have a proper solid character, you see. So that will be my advice to the upcoming generation.
All right, man. And last question, what do you have to say about Asvaye Explorer, which is this platform, by the way?
Yes. First of all, you, the person I enter, I don't know if you have a group, a team behind it, but the person and the upfront person for it, it's you. And I appreciate because it also takes a certain level of courage. As you said before, when you interacted with me, you didn't know me. I was there, straight face and all kinds of things like this. It takes guts for you to go to a person and do this and that, ask for them for doing this and that, even though it was your favor to me actually. But it takes guts for you to stop a person in their tracks to ask them to do something. And the fact that you are multifaceted, I know that you're not doing one thing, you're doing multiple things, and you are doing them in the most ethical way possible, as far as I know. You know, the fact that you are that kind of person, I have proper confidence that this will go far. You know, it will be steady, but it will go far. And I enjoy your company because we have met in person multiple times on different occasions and in different states of mind, you know. And you are very so you are a very chilled person. You are a very good man and very patient as well, and meticulous when it comes to detail. So I appreciate you, brother man. And pili ya pili, so they say in my language.
Thank you, Lucky Man. Until we meet again, and good luck with your book. I'll be standing to celebrate. And thank you for respecting us, man. Your respect has really presented itself very, very well. And until we meet again, that was Lucky Hlatshwayo. Ladies and gentlemen, remember
Thank
you
you,
can
brother.
like our things from Asvaye Explorer on YouTube, and
after the thunderstorm and the lightning, my focus is shifting to the horizon. Tell me, is the rainbow really coming that way? So bunny, but it's coming that way. Wanna elevate, and I will never let the devil play me. Tell me we can catch a fade. Blue sky and the rainbow when it's so